Hi. I was physically assaulted by a black male cop in Manhattan, New York City. I live in New York right now, and I was walking by on the street. It was between 7th Avenue and 6th Avenue down West 30th Street, and I had two big bags in both of my hands, and I was just walking by. Out of the blue, this cop came out of nowhere, and he just jumped me. But the few seconds before he jumped me, there was this guy, some stranger guy I didn't know. I didn't really get a good look at him. I don't remember what he looked like, but he told the cop out loud when I wasn't even paying attention that I said the N-word. And I wasn't even talking to anybody. I was minding my own business, walking down the street trying to go somewhere. And that's when I got assaulted by this cop. And I have no warrants or anything, and I never get into trouble ever, and never have. I was just innocently walking by on the street like anyone else would. And so then after the cop assaulted me, he was grabbing my arms really tight, left big bruises on my arms. He was hitting my arm, he was pushing me a lot, and during most of the time nothing was really said. I was screaming. I was screaming for help. I was asking people to help me and stop the cop from hurting me. And then I was trying to get people to protect me away from the cop, and I told them to call the cops on that cop. And it was really weird. There was no white Americans walking by on that street, and it was 4 different streets, and every single street in that area where I was standing with the cop, there was no white Americans that could have helped me. And there was all a bunch of different races that obviously hate white people, because nobody was protecting me, and they didn't even care. A lot of them were ignoring it and acted like nothing was going on. And it was really weird. After the cop was, or during the time when the cop was assaulting me, there was a few attempts I was trying to get away from him. And when I turned around, I saw these 2 older guys who were really tall. They were light-skinned, and I didn't know what race they were, but I could tell they weren't Americans. And they were just staring at me, and then they said something really weird, like, "What is wrong with you?" And that's what they said to me. And I was screaming for help, and I was asking them to help me. They saw the cop physically assault me just randomly out of the blue for no reason. It was really weird. And I actually had my hair was really cuter when I got assaulted. I had longer hair. My hair was probably about 3 inches longer than what it is right now. And it was bleached really blonde, and I spiked it up too. So I looked a little different then when I got assaulted. And so then during the whole time I was being assaulted, it probably lasted about probably a good 10 minutes. I was being assaulted by the cop, and then he pushed me all the way across the street while the traffic was still going, and the traffic light said green. It was green, which means go, and the cars kept going while he was pushing me in the traffic. And he pushed me all the way across the other street, and then that's when he handcuffed me. And I was calling the cops on him. I had a few cell phones on me. I had probably 2 in my pocket, and then I always keep other cell phones in my backpack. But when he pushed me across the street, he made me put both of my bags that were in my hands leave it on the sidewalk on the street where I was first standing. And so then I was scared that someone was going to steal my stuff while I was across the street with the cop. And I was calling the 911 on the cop assaulting me. And the operator didn't really seem to care, but the operator transferred me to some supervisor or something. And I didn't really know who I was talking to. I'm not sure if it was a cop or not. But they basically just ignored everything. They ignored my police reports. There was a bunch of other cops that showed up. I don't know if the cop that assaulted me called for more cops to assault me more and get me locked up for no reason. But they ignored my police reports. I kept telling all the other cops that he was being racist, and there was no white cops. There was no white American cops. It was just some light-skinned cops, and then there was some black cops, and then there was like other race cops. I didn't know what race they were, but that doesn't really matter. And then I kept telling them that this cop was being racist because he assaulted me for being a white person, and he claimed that I was saying the N-word, and I didn't, because I didn't even know that cop was there. And I wasn't even talking to anybody when I was walking by on the street. And then there was an ambulance there. They called for the ambulance because anytime there was something going on with the cop, they always call for an ambulance to get you locked up in the hospital, which is basically kidnapping. While I was standing there complaining to the other cops about what he was doing to me, I was handcuffed, and then the cop that assaulted me, he was threatening to break my arms, and then he was threatening to break my arms off out of the socket, and he also threatened some other things too. He was threatening to hurt me really, really bad, and he said it right in front of me very loud. And the other cops stopped him and told him that he wasn't allowed to break my arms or hurt me in any kind of way. And he even asked the other cops if he could strip me down naked in public while I was handcuffed in front of everybody in public out on the streets. And the other cops also said no, he couldn't do that either. And they weren't allowing him to hurt me any further than what he already did. But then they still forced me into the ambulance while I was handcuffed. And then all of this happened, it was June 20th on Friday is when I got assaulted by this cop, and they forced me in the ambulance and locked me up in the hospital. And of course it was a psych ward, a psych unit. But I wasn't going there for being crazy. I wasn't going there for mental health or anything like that like you're supposed to. Or I wasn't going there for committing any crimes, because of course I didn't commit a crime. I was just a white person who never even said any words. And so then they forced me to, at first the cops, before I went to the ambulance, the cops were lying to me saying that, oh, they're just going to bring you to the hospital and check you out mentally or whatever just for 2 hours, and then they'll release you out of the hospital right away. And then when I got there, that was a big lie. They took forever to have one of the doctors and nurses talk to me to see what happened, and that took like about 2 or 3 hours before anyone talked to me about what happened. And then I was just basically sitting in the waiting room in the hospital forever. And they were going through all my stuff. And then they had me downstairs first. And then, like, later that night, they forced me to go up to the upstairs unit. It was, I forgot what floor it was on, but they made me go up a few floors to where the real psych unit was. And then Surprisingly, they only made me go through a metal detector to see if I had any weapons on me or whatever, and they never did a strip search on me, which that was surprising, because there's a lot of freaking hospitals that forcibly strip search a lot of people naked in front of everybody. And usually they're very sexually abusive, but that time I never got strip searched, which I was lucky. And so I kept telling everybody, even the other psych patients that were there, I kept telling them my side of the story and what happened, and I was assaulted and I was the victim. And so the psych patients there felt sorry for me, and they knew I didn't belong being locked up there at all. And then some of the staff knew I didn't belong being there, but the one doctor and the one social worker that was working on my case of me being locked up, they felt like that I didn't need to be there either too. So, and they knew that it wasn't my fault what happened, but they were still mean to me. They were trying to brainwash me into saying stuff to make me stay longer. They were harassing me a lot there, and they came out very intimidating. And they also a few of the nurses and the medical people in the downstairs before I went upstairs in the psych unit, they forcibly stabbed me with a needle, forcibly injected me with psych medication without a court order, and just so they could force me to do an EKG, which I didn't need to do. There's no reason why I would need to do one. I was being locked up for no reason, and I didn't have any health problems except, of course, being overweight, but that's a different story. And then they also forced the psych medication injection just because they were also forcing other things on me, like a urine test, and then they wanted to take some of my blood out and test my blood, and which was weird because the psych medication they injected me with didn't do anything to my mind and didn't control me at all. I was just doing what they told me to get out of there. But I just hate psych medication because it causes severe side effects that are painful, and it causes weight gain, and I'm trying to lose weight and I don't want to get any fatter. So then I was locked up because of this whole assault. I was locked up in the hospital for a whole month, and that was unnecessary, and that was very abusive to lock me up for a whole month just because I was the victim of being assaulted by a black cop who was really racist. And so then I eventually after a whole month, I got released from the hospital, and I was released July 15th, and this all happened in 2014. And then I was so happy when I got released, but they made me do a couple court hearings to get released. The first court hearing was so they could force me on psych medication the whole time I was locked up, which they didn't need to. They were just being abusive, and I told them it was going to cause me weight gain, and they didn't even care. And I actually did. I think I gained probably about 20 pounds there the whole week. The whole few weeks I was forced on psych medication, I gained probably about 20 to 30 pounds. And then after I got released from the hospital, I even started gaining more weight but I got off the psych medication once I got released. But then I still kept gaining weight because of the side effects from the psych medication I was on in the hospital. It still damaged my thyroid and my metabolism, so it caused me to still gain weight later, even though I wasn't on it. And then, my brain wasn't really working right from being forced on all this psych medication in the first few days. Because I'm homeless, I was sleeping outside in the streets. I had severe insomnia from the psych medication they put me on in the hospital. And it was damaging my brain. And it was so psychologically and mentally painful to be having insomnia from the side effects. And I couldn't sleep. I was up for like 2 or 3 days. And my head hurt from it. And so then the pain in my head finally went away. The insomnia went away too. I was finally able to rest and go to sleep. And then after, it took about probably a month and a half or 2 months for me to feel better being released out of that crazy hospital. It took about two whole months to make me feel better that I was free from that crazy place. And I felt healthier from being out of that crazy hospital. I was getting more sunlight, more fresh air. Of course, I was socializing more and talking to more people, which you can't do when you're locked up. You have no one to talk to, and besides the other crazy patients that actually have a reason being there, and they're crazy and they want to assault me and other people. And that's another thing. When I was in the hospital, there was a lot of patients there that was trying to fight me and wanted to hurt me, and there was a couple of them that tried to assault me. And the staff do not protect any of the patients there from other patients, and the staff wouldn't protect me either. So there was a few times where I had to just stay in my room for my own safety. So I was isolated in my room a lot. And the patients there were so severely mentally ill and negative and aggressive that I wasn't capable of even doing the groups they had there, the therapy groups and the recreational groups. I wasn't allowed or safe to go into those groups with the other patients because the patients were so severely mentally ill that I was scared they were going to hurt me, and then I didn't feel mentally safe or physically safe around those other patients in the groups. And I did attempt to go to the groups the first 2 times, and then I had to stop going because the patients were targeting me and they were always verbally attacking me, and they were so negative about me, and it was horrible. They were talking crazy shit. And so then I was smart and I just stayed in my room. And then I kept telling the social worker and the doctor that I'm not capable of going in the groups anymore for my own safety. And so I guess they kind of understood that, but they still got mad at me for not going to the groups. But anyways, I still got released. And so I guess things are getting slowly better from being out of that crazy hospital and time going by from being assaulted by that cop. I'm renting a room right now. So technically I'm still homeless, but at least I got a little bit of money. I can stay in a room for 1 week like I am doing right now. But yeah, that was just so scary. It was the weirdest thing that ever happened to me. I never had a black cop assault me like that before ever in my life. That was the first thing that ever happened. And it was the weirdest thing that ever happened to me. And but I guess that's all I can say right now about what happened. And I never even called attorneys yet to sue the hospital for abusing me and locking me up for no reason. I never called attorneys to sue the police department or sue the cop for assaulting me and hurting me and locking me up for no reason and being racist, I've given up on calling attorneys, because attorneys, they always want a lot of money that I don't have, or they just say no to me. The free attorneys always say no to me, and they won't take my case. And because I got a gazillion cases that attorneys could have took, and they refuse. So, I mean, everyone knows that by watching my other videos. And I even, while I was locked up in the hospital, I called the cops. I dialed 911 because they got a couple phones. There's one phone in the hallway that any patient can use. And I was calling 911 and talking to the operator. And they transferred me to the internal affairs. And I left a message for internal affairs. But I told the operator I wanted to talk to the cops. I wanted the cops that were, of course, my race, to release me from the hospital and protect me away from the black cops who were being racist. But the stupid operator was ignoring my police report and didn't bring any cops over or anything, and wouldn't let me talk to the cops. So I don't even know if the cops got that report or not. And so I guess that's all I could say for right now. But thank you for listening. I hope anyone has any ideas or wants to make comments, please do make a comment below the video. Give me a thumbs up on this video if this ever happened to you, or something similar, or even if you just like the video, give me a thumbs up. You subscribe to my channel. I got a bunch of other videos just like this one. And I hope you enjoy this video and all the other videos I'm going to upload in the future. Thanks a lot. Bye.